I'm Dwayne Ball with the Washington County Board of Supervisors. I'm currently the acting chairman, and I was chairman of the CARES Act committee. Washington County received about $9.377 million. We distributed right at $3 million to local businesses. We bought 5 ambulances at the cost of about $1 million. We gave $1.1 million to the school system. We gave about $800,000 to the sheriff's department. We bought lots of PPE for different entities in the county. We did a lot of upgrades at the county building and try to make county staff more safe and help the public also. Oh yeah, we gave $1.35 million to the local towns, and the towns consist of Abingdon, Damascus, Glade Spring, and even Saltville got a little bit of money because some of their town limits is in the county. We had a committee of 9 people. It was myself, Mr. Parker, and Jason Berry. We were the principal entities in that we would have to sign to approve where it went. Then we had 6 other people on the committee. From that group, we basically reviewed requests and discuss how to allocate the funds, how much we should give them. We just have an up or down vote, and then we'd move from there. The business side, we had another subgroup that was a group from the small business incubator in town, and that was comprised of accountants, attorneys, and different ones who decided if a business needed the funds. And we set a limit of $20,000 per business. We also gave some money to nonprofits. Most of our nonprofit funding stemmed from what the Board of Supervisors already allocates, and we basically just gave a percentage of that. I guess the biggest surprise to me, it was hard to give away $9.3 million by their rules. It was really a struggle to do that. It was ever evolving, and we were trying to play by the rules, and they were just a moving target. And I realized it was new for everybody, but in hindsight, we would have probably tried to do more with broadband. From the beginning, there was no way to be able to award a contract because it had to be spent by December 31st in the beginning. Right at the very end of the year, I think it was December 26th, they extended it to December the 31st of 2021. So, another rule change.
The courthouse project's been actually a little over 8 years in the making, in the sense that the county's had a standing courthouse committee to review options at the courthouse. Of course, everybody knows, I'll take you back to November of 2019. The county did have a referendum to potentially move the courthouse to a former Kmart. That obviously did not pass. So the county heard the voters of Washington County, and very clear they want it to stay where it is. But in 2020, we started looking at models for financing, and the board actually hired Skanska, Curtis Ellswick, as a subject matter expert who's done courthouse renovations and expansion projects. Curtis has done projects in Buchanan County. He's currently doing the project in Russell County. So he really knows that region. It's an international company. So we truly hired an expert to help shepherd us through the procurement process. We were hoping to be a little bit more further along, to be honest with you, until COVID hit early last year. But we knew we had to look at the financial options for what we could do at the current courthouse. But if you go back to our study from 2016, it gave 3 options. One of those options was to stay there and build at the Elliott building, we call it, and take that building down, rebuild there, remodel the existing square footage of the courthouse. A little update, if you will, that we did buy that property on Valley Street for about $545,000 to move the Commonwealth Attorney and put his whole office and operations in one place. So that freed up space within the courthouse to begin for renovation. So that was kind of really step one. The bottom line for the county is we've been moving on this thing since the referendum of 2019. The next step, though, the courthouse will be working with Burwell and Jim Street's company to fine-tune the conceptual designs that they came up with. Right now, all that information is proprietary to the companies, so we cannot release any of that information at the moment. Looking forward, probably late April, early May, all of this material will be more public. We're going to do something new this year. We're going to actually live stream those courthouse committee meetings on the Board of Supervisors agenda page. The working committee, the courthouse committee, and then we're working with the town of Abingdon and the Historic Preservation Review Board to ultimately get a demolition permit, and then they'll approve the facade. We hope to have a public hearing, which is required by law, in May of the final designs and the cost and all the working parts of whatever this proposal is ultimately going to look like. And then if the board approves whatever that looks like, then that's really the official playbook, if you will, for the courthouse renovation expansion projects. Absolutely. I mean, we're still in this COVID environment, as you know, but it is absolutely a public meeting, so people can attend in person. We hadn't thought about public comment during that meeting because it's a working committee, but if somebody's there from the public and wants to comment, I would think the chairman of the board would entertain that, would be my guess. But in the interim, if they watch something and they want to know more about it, what I'd encourage them to do is send me an email to me or maybe Kevin Hill, and we could respond to those by email, or if they want a phone call, we'll do that too. So, but if the community wants us to hear what they have to say about the financing of it or the design of it or whatever phase we're in, we absolutely welcome their input. But between the debt drop-off, interest rates, and the fact that we'll probably do the first 2 years of interest only, we do not see a budgetary impact to the courthouse project in the short to medium term. And if we're lucky, we're going to layer this in to where there's no need, hopefully, to raise taxes going forward on the courthouse. All I can say is I'm recommending at least a 1 penny decrease in the proposed budget to help soften the increase, and we can afford that. The Historic Preservation Review Board wants to see the concept of the facade of the building, but we've asked the two firms to develop concept drawings of what it looks like. So the reality is we're still evaluating the concepts to see how far the building may encroach upon Main Street. It truly is a matter of how much real estate do we need, and does that cause moves or no moves or whatever. So I mean, that's the best I can address at this point.
My name is Christina Clark-Reefus. I'm on the Planning Commission. I'm still a very proud member of WIN, very proud supporter. Well, the Planning Commission is a 7-member committee that's appointed by the Board of Supervisors, one commissioner from each of the county's 7 election districts. And the Planning Commission is an advisory board to the Board of Supervisors. We do what I would call the heavy lifting when it comes to issues about zoning and special exceptions and planning projects that the county may be involved in. We tend to be average people. Most people on the Planning Commission do not have planning experience, but they have community experience, they have work experiences, and they're people, our neighbors, as Wynn would appreciate. So for instance, on a special exception, they're asking to do something that's not normally an outright right for that district. We would be able to ask the questions, look at the documents, analyze those, go back and ask for more information, and also set conditions if need be. So that is one opportunity where we would be able to make a development a much better fit for our community. The comprehensive plan, I guess a simple way to look at that is it is the one place where you can go if you wanted to educate yourself about what our community has to offer, what the values of our community are. And it's also to be used as a guide to our elected officials so that they understand what the people want. So as they're making decisions, we can move toward those goals. Our current plan was adopted in April of 2015. It's a very good plan. I'm very proud of it. However, the state of Virginia suggests that every 5 years that it be updated, and then they mandate that it be updated every 10 years. How about I list for you what the elements of the comprehensive plan are? Okay. We have housing. So housing is changing a lot. Who's living in a single family home now, for instance? You have economic development, that's always of interest. New jobs, how do we attract new jobs? What are we looking for? What kind of industries? You have natural and cultural resources, including historic resources. We have community facilities. Now, community facilities is everything from potable water, solid waste, our schools, just that is a huge element that covers just about everything. And now, of course, we have the renovation of the county courthouse. That's a biggie there too. We have transportation. Lots of changes in the transportation elements in the last 5 years. And last but not least is land use. Where do we see things developing? And development ideally should follow along where you have public services. Where do we see ourselves growing? What do we want to preserve? All of these things come into play in the comprehensive plan. And we have added a whole section on broadband where we're talking about the expansion of broadband. A very thorough job was done of soliciting community input when the plan was originally adopted. But trying to measure some of those is quite difficult, because I would foresee that when we get to the point of actually updating a full update on the plan in 10 years, we need to be able to show that planning commission we're moving toward that goal, or we're moving back, or that ended up not being a goal at all. But what we have discussed is that we plan on making that draft available, not only on the website where it could be downloaded, but also individual groups and things that we know that are very active, like WIN, making sure we reach out to them, that they do know that it's there. We do get a copy in their hands. And then we will be holding public hearings. It is extremely important to stay involved. WIN, in my opinion, is setting the standard of how we should be as neighbors to each other, regardless of political affiliations. This is our community. We have a great say in how this community develops. You're always welcome at the Planning Commission. Start watching our live feeds, and I think you'll find plenty of opportunities and areas where you can get involved.